I don't think the stream delay gave me enough time to squeak that in there, but I was just rebooting the stream. Okay, so, some of you guys may have been, babies when this was around, or you may not have, you may not even have been old enough to play this. I played this, and I can barely remember a single thing about it. So, on the Macintosh, back in like '87 or so, this game came out. It was also on the NES, which got a lot more popularity, and I think it got onto a few other systems. Niggeroth made mention of some N64 version, and apparently it wasn't very good. Anyhow, the game is not reading intensive, but yes, Ike, I'm old. Not as old as some, but you know, in spirit, I think I get some sort of an add-on there to the number. But I'm gonna go ahead and start up here, and we'll just, you know, go along at a nice little pace, and I'll explain things. I didn't get too far into this, just enough to figure out how they changed the mechanics, but this is basically a really old adventure game, but it's also very dark. So, something to bear in mind here is that this sort of a game was available on the NES, even though this is still, even though they gutted it and changed a lot of things, the general feel of this was on the NES, so it was not a kiddie game. But anyhow, I'm gonna start up and I'll shut up for the cinematic thing.
A hero's journey? A great quest? Certainly it shall be these things. But for you, young Jer Cuthaka, soldier of Windermere, could it not be so much more? In dreams, I have come to you, beseeching, entreating. Ride south, boy. Take naught but a dirk, a torch, courage. Ride south from Rivellin, around the southern arm, through the Waven Fair Wood, past Myrithsath, beyond the citadel of Murlak Tor, and the spires of Gimdane, and the darkness of Tarketh's Pass. There you shall find my stone in wait. Under the shade of the mountain range, none have entered, either on foot, on mount, on wing. Gatekeeper, the oldest of spires, it harbors that which has been spoken of in whispers and ascribed to legend. Shadowgate, the living castle. But all is not as it should be. One of our own is now our great bane, a blight upon us. He has brought the ancient keep low, and it now lies fallow. It is there that you will find me, Blackmere of the Circle of 12. It is there that you will find this great quest. It is there that you will find yourself.
And there we go. Close out the last of his line. It says, with Blackmere's words echoing about in your head, you stumble a bit until the world ceases its lurching. So he just teleported us here. You stand before the Gatekeeper Mountain. An ornate door, framed by a series of skulls, is fashioned into the rock wall. So, the game's going to give us a little bit of a minor tutorial thing. And right here, we have our tutorial gimmick, which is a skull we'll be carrying around. It's even talking to us. It says, hey you, it's me, the skull. Click on the take. Okay, so as you can see, this is like the older adventure games. You have all the various verbs and stuff, and you'll just do various combinations. So, go ahead and just do what he says. We'll pick up the skull. Been stuck here for ages. Oh, and the skull's name is Yorick. Wah, wah. Well, Oatmeal, the skulls can, in fact, talk. Did you ever play the third Monkey Island game? Were you ever introduced to Murray, the skull? Also the best character in the entire game, which is saying quite a lot. And you'll notice there are a number of buttons up top. He's pretty much just saying what I just mentioned earlier. So yeah, that's just our verbs we'll be doing for commands and such. And when we picked him up, there was a little key here. So this is the take tutorial. And this is just showing us to use it on the door. So we're going to do use key, close and... Oh, I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. First thing we're going to do, just do what he says right here. We want to use our little dirk right here on these vines down here. Because... there's a hat. And we can actually equip this. You can die in this. So, use hat on me. Yeah, we're getting all fancy. And now it wants us to, you know, use the key on the door. And of course, open. Pretty standard fare, just showing us the basic little mechanics we'll be using throughout here. And as shown here, we have, yeah, that's right, Oatmeal, an actual inventory system. This is, as much as I love Telltale's adventure games, they kind of really super streamlined a lot of things, and they basically removed most of the trial and error that some folks said plagued the genre, but I really enjoyed it. Anyhow, it says right here, use torch to light this over here. Now, I didn't play too much further after the next few rooms, and I'm not clear about whether the torch burns out and you have to cycle them or not. You see them in various rooms. So, use torch on that. It wanted me to hit next, sorry. And now it wants me to just pick it up, so take it. And like I said, I hadn't played enough to figure out if there was some mechanic with it burning out after a certain number of turns or movements. And of course, some of the controls are a little unintuitive at times, because as opposed to just use lever, you have to use thyself on lever in order to activate it. Mm-hmm. I'll be reading the bottom stuff a little bit more, but basically, we pulled the switch, and it says squeal of protest, lever begins to move. A few moments later, stone slides away from the wall, revealing an opening that holds a key, right over here. And tutorial's almost over, don't worry. It's kind of railroading us for now. Just says, hey, by the way, there's a map here. That's where he came in, that's where we are now, antechamber. And it mentions you can actually go back rooms by using the back arrow. So essentially that will take us back to the next row down on the map. But we don't need to go back, and Yorick's talked too much, so we'll get rid of him. Okay, so let's look at that key. Heavy key. Okay. Go ahead and take that. Now, we can go ahead and head through the doorway, but there are a few little things here we take a look at. First of all, what's this on the ground? Difficult to tell if this is a sling that has seen battle or simply used by a shepherd to keep his flock safe. We'll get a use for it, maybe. Another thing to look at right over here. Circular hatch is made of a strange stone set securely within a mortared base. A low hum of power emanates from within. Well, hey, we could just maybe use ourselves on it and see what happens. And try and tug at the hatch, but it seems magically sealed. We'll come back to this later, I think. So, next thing is standard fare. Use key on door. Struggle with both hands to turn the key in the stubborn lock. A satisfying click echoes through the chamber as you toss the key aside. This is what I think is kind of funny, is even with the previous door, once you use the key, it says your character just tossed it aside, so it's just sort of like, oh, this door's open, throw the key away. Always thought that was kind of funny how in some adventure games that people just throw away items arbitrarily.
Lakmir was a fool to send a child to do that which even the vaunted Circle of 12 could not. Contain my growing power. Come if you wish. It makes little difference. Seal your fate within this living castle of the dead.
So yeah, what he said. And of course the description, strange presence fills the room, that comes in, and he says this. I'll leave it for a little bit so the people who watch this on YouTube can pause and read what he said. It says the apparition winks out, leaving a cold trail behind. It wasn't a wink, more like a blink. That was both eyes. Well, whatever. We're in over our head apparently, but let's just go onward. A damp, musty breeze wafts out from behind an altar set within the stone alcove. You note that the long hallway continues further into the mountain. Oh, a dead body. I wonder what killed him. You could search his remains. And of course, this is the search tutorial. Now we can either use ourselves on the body or we can open the body. Let's open it. Pat down the corpse. Your rough handling produces the sound of crackling bones as well as a piece of parchment which you put in your pack. And next it wants us to look at this book. The tutorial basically ends in this room. I think he comes back with a few other little things after this, but we're almost through with his interruptions. He wants me to open this up. It says something shifts under your feet as you open the book. Let's look at it. Hey. You scan the ancient manuscript, noticing most of the language is unintelligible. However, one particular word stands out from the rest. Invoken. In your mind's eye, you see a glyph glowing with power and quickly write down the strange mark in your spell book. You have learned spell. Well, let's take a look at our spells in our inventory. Every spell does something different and will only work when cast on certain items or in certain places. Contextual spells. Okay, and this is one of the last things it's showing us, a hotkey sort of thing. Just control 1 through 0 will make this a hotkey for 1 through 0. So let's just do what it says here. Now I can just press 1 and do whatever. So let's cast that spell on this here statue. You concentrate on the statue and whisper a word of power. Although your spell is powerful, it bounces uselessly against the cold dead stone. Looks like that spell's meant for something else. Look on the ground by the statue. Books aren't the only thing to read around here. I wonder what that scroll says. Open, then look. We know how this works. You open the scroll carefully. You read the message scrawled in the scroll. Fandril, this missive is of utmost importance. We must coordinate our efforts. Seek my obelisk in the acolyte den below the sewers. Oh, a sewer level. I fear the worst is upon us, but I have plans in motion that may yet avert disaster. It is signed with the name Lakmir. A message from Lakmir. It sounds important. We can't risk this information falling in the hands of the Warlock Lord. Memorize this message, then burn the scroll. Alright. Well, use torch on paper. Adios. The old parchment goes up in flames. Just a double-click a command to lock it. Yeah, so I suppose I could just double-click one of these, and then right-click to... Aha. I see. Yeah, it says you want me to quiet down. You can actually do a hit command on Yorick to shut him up. I don't mind it. I'm used to it. And yeah, there's also a save icon. There's quick save in this, which I will probably be using at some junctures. No, I will be using it at several junctures. Keep your wits about you. Thank you, Empty Skull. So, let me test something out here. Okay, so yeah, if I wanted to scour an entire room, just double-click on that, I gotta look at things. That's just a torch. Give the skeleton a quick once-over. You find no obvious cause of death. You do, however, have a bad feeling about this. Let's look at this bitchin' statue here. Strange markings and glyphs line the stone pillar that enshrouds the statue, one that depicts a hooded figure with a darkened visage. Well... I think we're pretty much done in this room. So let's head this away. Oh, retro banner. Fire is the answer to many things, but not in this case. A series of ancient doors encircle this small hallway. It looks as though a battle may have been fought here long ago. Let's take a little look around. What's this? This hand-stitched sack is made from the hide of an animal. Which animal, however, is uncertain. Well, let's open it up. Maybe there's some goodies in here. Rummage through the sack, finding dice, a scroll, and a gear. Taking these, you then discard the sack. The sack could have been useful, man! Well, let's take a look at this. What's up with this bones? The skull has a deep gouge in the back of its head, a telltale sign of a death blow from an axe. The cluster of bones is still mostly intact. Dried sinews and muscles hold it together. And it says here, yeah. So there's not much else of interest in here, and we can pick any of these three doors. I'm thinking we'll start from the left and go to the right. These two seem... yeah, these are just regular wood. Oh, slightly different descriptions. Solid wood door, banded in iron. Deep scratches and marks mar the surface of this otherwise simple door, and this one looks really weird. The surface of this metal door is pitted with age-old rust. DW wants me to roll the dice. What do we got? Use dice. Use dice on me. You fumble about trying to do something constructive with the dice. Very quickly, you give up. Don't worry, DW. We'll try again later. It's bound to work out. Okay, let's start on the left here. With a grunt, you push the door open. Go! Teeth chattering, you stand within the cold cellar, hugging yourself for warmth. A creature made of ice hovers playfully on the far side of the room. Let's quick save. Your game has been saved. What is this thing up to? Let's look at this. Okay, that's just the same thing. What else is there in here? This chunk of ice has a metallic object frozen inside. Oh, this looks like a scroll. A long white object is frozen in this piece of ice. Let me try something. Let's try using torch on this. Oh, I didn't think that would work. You bring the lit torch close to the ice. It takes a few moments, but eventually the ice melts away, revealing a scroll hidden within. Open. Look.